Okay, guys, so let's get started without any further ado. In today's class, we're going to talk about the demo on certified ethical hacking. Now, before we do so, a quick formal introduction on my end. My name is Mohammed Shoaib. I'm a cybersecurity trainer certified from EC Council. EC Council is the leading organization for training and certifications in the domain of cybersecurity. And this course, Certified Ethical Hacking version 12, is specifically built or designed for people who want to get into this domain, who want to get started with cybersecurity. So this is a course fundamentally talking about the basic requirements of, what you need to learn in order to perform or become an ethical hacker or penetration tester. Okay. Now, before we dive into the technical terms, there's two important definitions to specify what is hacking and what is ethical hacking. And are they, again, how are they different from one another? Because most of the students assume that this hacking and ethical hacking is one and the same term. Okay, but let me clarify that confusion today. So when you talk about hacking, guys, it is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. What I mean by that is, if I were a hacker and if I hack one of your devices, it basically means that I've gotten access to your remote system. So I can remotely access the data on that device. I can remotely steal the data from that device, or I can modify the data on that device, whether it be your personal computer or your database or your mobile phone as well. So when you talk about hacking, it is a procedure of trying to gain access to information systems without the permission or without the consent of the person or the organization owning those systems. And this is usually performed by the hacker for their own benefit. They can steal data from those devices, destroy the data on those devices, or even sell that data to other vendors on the internet. Okay. And sometimes hackers are so mischievous that they can even do it just for fun. Okay. Now, if this is, excuse me. Now, if this is what hacking is, what is ethical hacking? How is hacking getting ethical in the first place? So when you talk about ethical hacking, on the other hand, guys, it is the procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. Now, this term vulnerability is something that you'll hear throughout the course. Okay, let me define what that is first. When you talk about vulnerability, it is a loophole. It is a weakness in the system, in the security of the system. So your job in ethical hacking is to find these loopholes, find these vulnerabilities in the system with the consent and with the permission of the organization. Once you find the vulnerabilities, you report it back. And once they are reported back, the company is going to apply the necessary security updates. And once the updates are applied, you're preventing hackers from causing any further harm. So your job in ethical hacking is finding the loopholes or finding the vulnerabilities in the systems which the hackers use, which the hackers attack on before the hackers. Okay. So once you find the vulnerabilities and you report it, you're trying to increase the security of the infrastructure. Okay. So thereby, with ethical hacking, you're trying to prevent hacking. Okay. You're trying to prevent any harm or any damage to the infrastructure of the organization. Okay. So depending on these two definitions of hacking and ethical hacking, guys, we can categorize the types of hackers. There's someone known as a black hat hacker. There's someone known as a gray hat hacker. And then there's someone known as a white hat hacker. When you talk about black hat hackers, these are the, you could say, the villain of the movie, the hackers who perform hacking for their own benefit, okay, and done without asking for consent. On the other end, you have the hero of the story, which is white hat hackers, okay, or the ethical hackers who abide by laws and policies of the organization, work within boundaries, okay, and do not cause any damage to the organization. They find vulnerabilities and report it back so that they can increase the security, okay, of the applications or the devices used in the organization. And in between, there's a third category called gray hat hackers. These people are a combination of black hat hackers and gray hat hackers. So like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission first. But once they find the vulnerability, they report it back to the company for a bounty. A bounty is something which benefits them. So the company pays them a reward. Okay. That reward could be a financial reward, a reputational reward, anything which benefits the hacker for finding that vulnerability and reporting it back to the organization without misusing it. Okay. So gray hat hackers are also something like freelance hackers who find vulnerabilities and report it back for a reward in return. Okay. Is that clear, guys? Any questions or doubts up to this part? Pratap, Guru. Oh, Chandra, can you hear me as well? Oh, am I not audible, guys? Is the audio low? Chandra, you asked me that you mentioned you're not able to hear me. Is it loud enough, guys? Can you hear me? Hello? Perfect. Right. Guru, no, this course does not cover bug bounty. As I've mentioned, bug bounty is a completely different course. After CH is done, if you're interested in bug bounty, I take that course separately. So there's a course called Web Application Pen Testing, in which we learn the vulnerabilities on websites. Okay, how do you find them and how do you report them back to the companies? Okay, which is also called as bug bounty. So that's the next course after CH. So if you're interested, you can learn that as well after CH is done. Okay. So in this, we're going to only talk about a few basic vulnerabilities, such as cross-site scripting, SQL injections. We won't be covering all the vulnerabilities in websites. Okay. For that, there's a separate course altogether. This is a course specifically for people who are getting into cybersecurity and need to understand what penetration testing is. Okay. What are the network operations center job roles? What are the security operations center job roles? Okay. What is monitoring? Okay. What is monitoring? What is analysis? Okay. We basically cover on the ethical hacking part. Okay, how do you find vulnerabilities and how do you report them? Okay, and how do you perform pen testing in a network? Okay, we cover all that in the CEH course. Right. Can't hear anything. Pratap, could you check your audio device once? 1 second. Yes. Okay, cool. So now proceeding further, guys, let's talk about the next topic, which is hacking cycle. Now, the first thing that a company asks you whenever you go for an interview for cybersecurity is what is the hacking cycle that you follow? Okay, what is the procedure that you follow in order to perform ethical hacking or penetration testing? Okay. Now, your EC Council organization has developed a very well-rounded hacking cycle. Okay, and it consists of 5 important steps. So our whole course is going to revolve around these 5 steps itself. Hacking cycle or the cyber kill chain is the procedure in which you perform ethical hacking or penetration testing. Okay, and there are 5 steps involved in this. The first step is called as information gathering. Second step, okay, it can also be called as reconnaissance or footprinting. Second step is called as scanning, which can also be called as enumeration. Third step is gaining access. Fourth step is maintaining access. And the last step is reporting or clearing traces. Okay, now these are the 5 steps that are involved in hacking or ethical hacking, guys. Okay. Now, oh, 1 second, one more question. Is CH certification included in this course? Again, CH certificate, this course is priced at 8,000 rupees, Guru. This is only the training for certification. Okay, you're not going to write the exam as well. The exam is going to cost you $500. So once the course is done, I'm going to prepare you to write the certification. And once you're ready, you can pay that $500 directly to EC Council and sit for the certification exam. Okay, so this course includes the preparation for you to write the certification. Okay, this does not include the certification price as well. Okay, so once the course is done, you can apply for the exam and write it. I'll be providing the resources, the material, and the content required to pass that examination. Okay. Now, after coming back to this, let's talk about the first concept now, which is information gathering. Okay, the first thing or the first task you have to perform in order to perform proper ethical hacking is information gathering, trying to gather as much data as possible about your organization. So again, just like a hacker, just like a robber, how they try to perform a research on their client, similarly, ethical hackers are also supposed to perform a research. Okay, and they need to obtain certain pieces of information. Now, what is that information that is needed to be obtained? I've listed out here. Okay, so whenever you want to perform penetration testing or ethical hacking for an organization, you need to find these pieces of information, such as IP addresses, whois records, DNS server records, employee details, such as the contact numbers of the employees, email addresses of the employees, domains of the organization, the subdomains of the organization, operating system information. What OS are they using? Are they using Microsoft servers, Linux servers? Okay. What usernames and passwords got leaked for the organization on the internet? All this information needs to be obtained. Now, one important point to note is this information is obtained directly from the internet. We do not contact the organization in any way, and the organization has no clue that someone can obtain this information as well. So all this information is obtained from open source websites. Okay, so online on the internet, there are gold mines of information, and we learn what those websites are from where we can retrieve this data. Once this data is obtained, then you go to the next phase, which is scanning. Scanning is a phase where you get some extra information by active connections. What I mean by active connections is that rather than getting information from the internet now, you try to get information from the target servers. Okay, trying to get information on the internal network. Okay, so scanning can also be called as enumeration, where it can be divided into three parts. So to perform proper scanning, we have to break it down into three smaller parts. There's something called as network scanning, port scanning, and vulnerability scanning. In network scanning, we try to figure out on the target organization what internal devices are there, what active devices are there. So how many routers are they using? How many firewalls are they using? How many IDS, IPS, intrusion detection systems or intrusion prevention systems are they using? How many client operating systems are there? How many servers are there? Okay, what kind of servers are there? Are there any FTP servers? Are there any mail servers? Are there any DHCP servers? So getting a network topology of their internal organization. Once you get to know what all devices are available in their network, then you try to figure out what ports and what services are open on those devices. Okay, so again, there might be multiple services running: FTP services, DNS servers, DHCP servers, SNMP servers. These are all the protocols that run on any system. So we need to figure out what services are they running, what applications are they running on their systems. And once you get to know that information, finally we perform vulnerability scan. In vulnerability scanning, we try to figure out on those services or on those applications, are there any weaknesses that you can attack on? So during this phase, we'll be using a very important tool called Tenable Nessus. So you can go to your browser, and in the browser, you can search for Tenable Nessus. This is the same tool that is used in organizations as well. You can click on the first link. And if you scroll down, as you can see, Tenable Nessus, the global gold standard in vulnerability assessment. Okay, this is used to perform testing on each and every endpoint in your organization. So no matter what device it is, whether it be a server, whether it be a client operating system, whether it be firewall, databases, routers, switches, doesn't matter. This tool is capable of scanning each and every system automatically in the network and telling you what vulnerabilities or what misconfigurations are there on those systems, and how hackers can utilize that or exploit that and attack your organization. So if you click on buy, you can notice it's quite an expensive tool. It's around $6,000, close to $6,000, and that too only for 1 year subscription, not even lifetime access. Okay, that expensive this tool is. Okay, but luckily for us, we don't have to purchase this tool. There's a trial version for it, and it allows you to scan up to 16 devices for free. So I'm going to show you how to install the trial version on your system. And once you have the trial version, how do you try to perform vulnerability scanning, and how do you try to understand what vulnerabilities are existing in your organization? Okay, now once this is done, then you go into the next phase, which is gaining access. Okay, this is the most important phase, actually, the main core of the subject, where we learn what are the common attacks that are available for each endpoint. So once you know the vulnerabilities, the next thing you have to do is know how to attack those systems. Okay, no matter what system it is, we'll be covering each and every endpoint. So we'll talk about, again, let me discuss the topics first, list them out first. Okay, so the first topic that we learn is system hacking, where I'll show you how you can bypass or crack a Windows operating system password. So whether that be Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 or Windows 10 or 11, doesn't matter what version it is. You're going to learn how to crack the password for this operating system, or how do you bypass it if you're unable to crack. Then there's malware attacks, where we learn what are malicious softwares, okay, and what categories of malicious softwares exist, and how do you attack the system with these malicious softwares. So there's tons and tons of categories, such as viruses, worms, trojans, spyware, whatnot. We practically learn how to attack on each malware, again, how to defend our system from these malwares as well. Then comes network pen testing, where we learn what are the common attacks in a network. So there are very common attacks such as man-in-the-middle attack, denial of service attack, or hacking Wi-Fi routers, cracking the password for Wi-Fi routers. Okay, so using these attacks, we can try to shut down servers, we can try to read the usernames and passwords of other users in our network, or we can try to crack the password of Wi-Fi routers in our networks. Okay, all this falls under network pen testing. Then comes social engineering, where we learn how do hackers create fake websites, how do they perform phishing attacks and send fake login pages to victims and get their usernames and passwords. So whether it be any social media page or any bank login website, how do hackers replicate those pages? How do they create duplicates of those pages and try to trick the users into getting their credentials? Then after that, we have web application pen testing, where we learn what are the common vulnerabilities that exist in websites. So as I've mentioned, there's a separate course called Bug Bounty. This is a brief introduction to that course that is included in CEH. We'll talk about SQL injections, how to attack databases. Then we'll talk about cross-site scripting. How do we inject JavaScript code in websites and perform various operations, such as getting other users' cookies, making them inject malicious scripts on their website. Okay. Then broken authentication to log in as other users without knowing their passwords, using and manipulating cookies. Okay. Then file upload vulnerability, where we learn how do we upload malicious files to a server. So all this again might seem very technical, guys, but again, these are weaknesses on websites through which hackers can get access to databases on the backend or execute malicious scripts on the website. Okay. Finally, there's hacking mobile phones, where we learn how do we attack an Android phone using Trojans and get a remote connection to an Android phone. So if you closely observe here, we're trying to cover each and every endpoint that is available. We're talking about system security, we're talking about, Windows security, we're talking about network security, we're talking about web application security, we're also talking about Android security. Okay, each and every endpoint that could exist in an organization is covered here. Okay, once all this is done, guys, there are two small topics left out, which is maintaining access and reporting or clearing traces. In maintaining access, we learn how do we maintain persistent connections. Persistent connections in the sense, if the user restarts his device, how do you still maintain a connection with him? And then finally, there's reporting or clearing traces, where we learn how do we generate a report in the end. After you find the vulnerabilities, how do you submit the report to the organization, report writing, or how do you remove the evidences like a black hat hacker? So we learn both the tracks of ethical hacking as well as normal black hat hacking. So we learn both the offensive methods and the defense methods as well. Okay. And before we dive into all this, guys, since not everyone could be from a technical background, we'll have a few prerequisites to cover as well. So we'll firstly talk about networking basics. Okay. What is IPv4 address? What is IPv6 address? Okay. What are classes and IP addresses? What are public IPs? What are private IPs? We'll talk about all that in networking basics first. Then we'll talk about virtualization, where I'll show you how to prepare a lab setup. So this is a very practical implemented course, guys. So we need to have a practical lab setup as well for that. So I'll show you how to install VMware, a virtualization software, in which we can install an OS called Kali OS. Okay. So there's an operating system called Kali, which is a Linux-based operating system, and we need to use this for our whole course. The reason being, this comes pre-installed with all the tools required. Okay, for hacking or ethical hacking, the tools are pre-installed in Kali Linux. Okay, so I'll show you how to install this operating system on your devices in the virtualization class. After that is done, then we have one last concept, which is Linux commands. Since we are installing Kali Linux, we need to know how to operate that as well. Okay, so we learn basic Linux and Windows commands. And after these three prerequisite concepts are done, then we dive into the advanced concepts. Okay, footprinting, reconnaissance, scanning networks, and so on and so. Okay, there's a few bonus concepts included as well, guys, at the end of the course, such as reverse engineering, cryptography, IoT, cloud security, and so on. So I'll be sharing materials, I'll be sharing resources, free video lectures, okay, on these other courses as well. Okay, the whole course is for a duration of 45 days, where we'll have classes from Monday to Friday every day for 1 hour each. Okay. And the timing should be at around 7 p.m. itself. I'll be starting the batch at around Friday or so, Thursday or Friday, once we get the confirmation of all the students. Okay, so the first class on networking is going to be on Friday, guys. Most probably on Friday. Not sure, but we can get a confirmation from the institute as well. Okay, Thursday or Friday, we'll start the first class on networking basics, guys. Okay. So if you have any questions, also you can let me know, guys. In the meanwhile, again, this is just a brief introduction, guys, to make you understand what topics we'll be covering throughout the course. I've just rushed through it quickly because there's actually another session at 7:30, which is a batch which is running. Okay, I need to conclude that batch. Yeah, all the classes are recorded. I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention this. You'll be getting the notes for each class. You'll be getting the recording, the video recording for each class as well, guys, every single day. You'll get the recording on your Google Drive. So just in case if you're missing out any class, you will be having the recording on your mail present. Okay, so nothing to worry about that. You will be, again, in the course price, you'll be getting all the video recordings. You'll be getting the material from official EC Council, the courseware material from EC Council, the notes, okay, the tools required for pen testing. All the tools, all the materials, all the videos, all of them are included in the course price. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Guru, Pratap. Yeah, okay. Pratap, any questions?
No questions from me. I don't have any questions.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay, guys. So yeah, please do join on Friday, guys. I'll do let you know. Again, I guess the institute has your email, so they will let you know when the new batch is going to start. Okay. If you don't receive any information, please anyhow do join on Friday. We'll take the first class on networking basics. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further. We're gonna exit the session now, and I'll see you on Friday again. Bye bye. Good day.